by the end of this tutorial, you will understand and know how to select a random item from an array. Now, I know what you're thinking. Israel, why haven't you flashed the code up on screen? I mean, it's been a whole 5 seconds. Half the people have clicked off the video, and yes, that is true. But like I said, I'll be teaching you how to understand how to do this, not just do it. And that's how I learned, basically, by just copying what code was on screen and never really taking the time to understand it, and that takes forever. So if you're actually going to sit through the video and learn this stuff, you're going to be way ahead. So this isn't going to be a 10-second tutorial. So just stick around, and I promise it will make sense by the end. So first off, let's create a new script. We'll call it, we'll go to script, go to file, hit new script because the rest are full. And basically what this comes down to is understanding how arrays work by themselves before we mess around with randomness. So let's create one. How these are set up is that each item in the array is indexed with a number. So this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. How we access it looks like this. We can do list, or let's print it, right? Print, and we'll do list, and then we can put the index in. So if we want the text in the list, we can type 0, or if we control D, we can do item 4, which would be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So really it would make more sense if it was like that. Okay, that should be a little easier to understand. And it's important to remember that it does start at 0. So that's how we do it. Now if we run this script, which I may need a scene for this script to run in. Okay, yeah, basically we'll go over here, new script, we'll just add a new scene and drag that script over to the node. Okay, now when we run this, fine, there, save, whatever. Okay, it prints to the console right here, 0 and 4. So that's how we do that. Next, so basically what we need is to get a random number that isn't beyond 4 and isn't below 0. So how we do that is with the function randi, rand and I, and we can also get a randf for rand float, randf, but since it's an integer, it's only a whole number, 1, 2, 3, 4, not dot number. We'll be using randi. So if we control and click on randi, it will take us to its documentation, and we can see that we can get percentages, or this is how we tell it we don't want a number beyond this and below this. So randi and then %20, and this returns a random integer between 0 and 19. And we can do %100 plus 1, and this returns a random integer between 1 and 100. So this is how we get that. And you may think, oh, this is great, we can get a random number, but how do we make sure it doesn't, how do we know what the size of the array is? And I'll tell you. What we do is we type list dot size, and this returns the size of the array. So if we play that, it will print out 5, and we can see here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this can get confusing because it does start at 0, but you just have to get used to that. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or, yeah, and so 4 is 5, basically. So yeah, you just have to wrap your head around that. You'll get used to it. So we can get the size of the array. We can get a random integer between a number. Now we just need to combine those two things to get the random item in the array. How we do that is using our head. So what do we want to do? We want to set a variable to the random item from the array. So we'll go var and we'll call it item. Okay? An item equals nothing, but we're going to change that. So we'll type item, then we'll think, okay, it needs to equal something. So equals, and then we'll type rand. Well, we'll need an item from the array, so we'll type list. See, you have to think about this stuff. You can't just, copy it over. You have to actually think about how the code's working. So we'll type list, and then we'll insert a random number in this little brackets, right? So how do we get the random number that's not beyond the list size? Well, we'll type randy, because we can remember how it's formatted as rand I, and then we use the percentage, right? Because we looked in the documentation. Then we'll type list, because we want to get the list and its size. So size, and this should work if I remember correctly, because we are counting from 0, right? In the documentation, we had to add 1 to make it go from 1 to 100. But in this case, we're counting from 0 to that number. So this, if my brain works correctly, should give us a random number that's not beyond or below, because we are counting from 0. And I'm stressing that point because you need to remember it, because you have to think in, you just have to remember that. It is important. So we'll type print item, and that should work. So we'll print that, and we get the number 4. We'll run it again, number 4, and we get the number 4. And that's because in the ready function, we need to type randomize, so it's random every time. Because, the whole seed, like Minecraft, you have a seed and it's random, but it's the same random. So randomize, and you just add that to the top of every ready function that you want to be randomized. So we get 3, and now it's working correctly. You can get 3 again. Ooh, 0. Okay, I was worried there for a second. 0, and 4 again, and 1. And that's how you do it. Hopefully that logic all made it to your head. You fully understand it. You don't ever have to Google this again, because you can remember we need to get a random number that's no bigger than the list size and no lesser than the list size. So if you wanted to, you could do something like this. So hopefully you haven't clicked off the video, because you still want to learn more. So if you've stuck around to this, then you actually want to learn, and that's amazing for someone who's watching a YouTube video. That's incredible. Most people just watch it for entertainment value. Let's do rand. Maybe you've never heard of this one, but rand in range. I use this all the time. Basically, this is a manual way to do it. So random range, we can do rand and range, and we need the bottom range, right? So we'll just type 0, because we know that's the lowest number, and then the top. And yes, this is a float rand and range, but I'll show you how to fix that. Then we can get list dot size. So that should work too. And you may be wondering why it's working, and that's because with this, if we print out this number, right, we can see rand in range. We'll just print that instead. We can do that, and you'll see what it prints. 3, 3, 2. And yes, and to be honest, I'm not exactly sure why that works. I was thinking, what went through my head when I first did this is I could do round, and then you add a float, and then that number's always rounded. But what happens, and what I think what's happening is, oh, okay, another curly bracket, and we can round it. But, so there it's 3, 4, 1, and that works too. But I think what's happening here is it just automatically rounds it up for you somehow. I don't know what's going on in the background, but So to summarize this video, what we're doing is to get an item from an array, we have to give it an index 0 through however big that array is. So to get a random index, random number, we generate a random number in between that size. And we have two ways of doing that: rand in range, 0 list size, or randy percent then list dot size. They're the exact same thing, two ways of doing it. I hope this video helped you. If it did, give it a like, subscribe, and subscribe for more videos. Yeah. And hey, if you have friends, which I'm sure you do, I'm sure you're very popular, you could share it with them, and I would really appreciate that. So thank you for watching, and have an excellent day.